When it comes to situations at work, of course, there are way more than just 5 ways of looking at any given situation, perhaps an infinite number of ways. But in the world of coaching, we approach this from the perspective that we can look at any situation in at least 5 different ways. Keep watching, and I'm going to teach you this technique called the 5 ways, so you can learn yet another cognitive restructuring tool to change the situation, your perspective of that situation in any workplace scenario, and therefore impact the outcome of that situation in favor of your career. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Please hit the bell icon so you can be reminded every time I post a new video, which I do 2 times per week. Please also consider becoming a member at Motivationeer.com. Your membership really supports this channel. Thank you. This technique, known as the 5 ways, is a very powerful tool for us as coaches when trying to help our clients shift their energy in the moment or about a specific situation they're engaged in. When we shift our energy, we get to a higher level of energy that allows us to look at many more opportunities for what's ahead of us than if we just focused on a negative energy mindset. So the 5 ways basically starts like this. A client of mine will give me their perspective of a situation, and usually, perhaps almost every time, what we all do naturally is start out with the very first perspective being incredibly negative. In fact, we're so convinced of that first perspective, we don't even consider that there are at least 4 other ways of looking at the situation. So we kind of camp in on that one way, the way that came naturally to us. And it is usually negative. So when the client tells me about a situation and shares a negative first reaction, what I do is I say, and this I'm teaching you so you can start saying this to yourself, I say, okay, what you just said there might explain why this is happening. That could be true, for sure. What's another way of looking at this situation that might also be true? And then I ask them to consider, what's another way of looking at it? When they share their second perception, generally speaking, that perception is equally as negative. It's kind of along the same lines. Yes, it's a different way of looking at it, but it's still a negative way of looking at it. And then I, as the coach, say, yeah, that could be the way. That could explain what's going on in this situation. You're right. It could be that. So now we have 2 ways of looking at it. What's a third way of looking at this situation that might explain what's going on? When the client gets to, or human beings in general, get to that third way, the very harsh negativity starts to kind of come off a little bit. It'll still be along the negative energy line or a negative thinking perspective, but it won't be quite as harsh. That's why I show in this image kind of a lighter red or a pink. It will still tend to be along the negative spectrum. They'll share what that third possible explanation is for what's going on, and then I'll say, yep, it could be that. That makes sense. That could also explain what's going on. Now you have 3 ways of looking at it. What's a 4th way of looking at this situation? What's another way that could explain what's going on? By the time a person gets to the 4th perspective of any situation, that's where a positive or benefit of the doubt perspective starts to come into play. That's why I've labeled it here kind of with a green circle. They'll tell a situation, kind of giving the person a benefit of the doubt or maybe giving themselves a little bit of grace, and they'll say what that 4th scenario is, and then I'll say, yeah, it could be that as well. That could also explain exactly what's going on in this situation. Now you have 4 ways of looking at it. What's a 5th way? Very few clients have ever found a 5th way of looking at this perspective. Most can only come up with 4, and they get kind of stuck on this last one. Because I'm not emotionally connected as the professional coach to the outcome of the scenario, remember detached involvement, I've done a few other videos on this in the past, I am able to come up with one other way of looking at it fairly easily. So what I do is I ask the client for their permission. May I share with you a possible 5th way? And if they give me permission, I'll share it with them. And then I tell them, okay, this is a 5th way of looking at it. I'm sure you would agree it could be this way too. Now you have 5 ways of looking at it. Sometimes when I ask a client, may I share my perspective? They're like, no, let me try to come up with it, which I love. Again, almost nobody comes up with it themselves. Fewer say, yeah, let me keep trying. Then I inject the 5th way once they've given me their permission. Then I say, you now have 5 ways of looking at this situation. Which of those ways is going to serve your ultimate outcome, your desire, the best? This is a very powerful moment because it gives us the ability in that moment to choose how we want to think. And we know the way we think about a situation is what causes our feelings, not the situation itself. Given this potential 5 ways of looking at it, they could choose one of the first 2 negatives or the third kind of negative one if they want. That's not right or wrong, good or bad. We look at it from the perspective of outcome. What will be the outcome of continuing down this negative thinking path? If that's what they want to choose, so be it. That's awesome. Most people do choose one of the final 2 ways of looking at it, the positive ways, the green color, because that way will serve them best. When we are in a positive mindset, it creates positive energy. And when we're in a positive energy state, we're not going to have things blocking our perspective. This is the Romans 12:2 promise. Once again, we can be transformed by the renewing of our mind, then we can test and prove what God's will is. This is the 5 ways. Please try it on yourself. When you do kind of coach yourself using this technique, it will be really difficult to come up with that 5th way because it's hard to be detached emotionally, but really great practice. You can also share this technique with a close friend of yours and ask them to kind of walk you through this. And when they do, they will probably be able to come up with a 5th way fairly easily. I hope you use this to great benefit. If you do use this and it works out great for you, please share it below the situation, maybe what your 5 potential ways of looking at a situation is. I would really love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.